Hey guys, what's up? It is Ripe again, back with a mix of Neighbors from Hell and Tales from Retail revenge stories. If you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel to join our awesome community, and without wasting any more time, let's dive right into the stories. The first one is titled HOA blocked my friends and family from visiting me by not allowing them inside the neighborhood. First, before I just tell this story, let me explain the situation that the virus had put my husband and I in during the year of 2020. I am a stay-at-home mom. I do some freelance editing on the side, but it is nothing consistent. It only brings me a couple of $100 every few months. My husband made a decent salary prior to the pandemic, so it was more so just something for me to do while I was home with my daughter. Well, when the pandemic hit, my husband's company first started working from home. After just a few weeks, they had laid him and many other employees of the company off. With that being said, unemployment does not pay that well. I hate saying this because I know that there are people out there worse off than we were, but the pandemic has been a real struggle for us. I did some more freelance work and we are able to barely make it with having the basic necessities for food on the table. We made sure all of our bills were paid first because those are hell to catch back up on. However, because we were prioritizing bills and feeding our 10-year-old daughter, we fell behind on our HOA annual fees. We had paid part of the first month and had not paid anything else for the second month. During the first month, the HOA took away our access to the pool and common areas as we had not paid our full due amount. Our HOA did not have a plan for the pandemic-related payment issues, and honestly, I could not blame them. And by the way, yeah, Ripe stars, obviously, we cannot really blame the HOA, because who in their right mind would expect empathy from an HOA, right? Anyway, a lot of places were struggling to find the right methods and policies to follow when it came to the pandemic, so I understood that we could not use the common areas or pool until we paid in full. My husband was not so understanding and I should have been more like him. Just a few weeks later, our friends and family were not allowed to come into the neighborhood to see us. We found out when my mom was coming over one day and she called us saying the attendant at the gate would not let her in. Instead, I had to get in my car, exit the gates, have my mom park somewhere else and have her come in my car and drive through the gate to be able for her to enter my house. What kind of sense did this make? I don't want to sound entitled at all. I really do understand that we were behind on our fees. However, what does that have to do with my mother? Why should she be punished? She just wanted to catch up and have dinner with us. I feel like it should not have been that difficult. However, it got even more difficult. One day when I was coming home after doing some grocery shopping, thanks Sunday newspaper coupons, I was not able to pass through the automatic gate. My card would not scan. I now had to have a guard's approval to be able to enter the gates. I honestly wanted to cry. The guard straight up told me that until we paid the remaining amount due for our previous fees, that every time we would need a guard approval. I thought that this was ridiculous. The next day I had authored an email to the HOA and explained to them the situation. My husband was actively looking for work and we were using what little money we had from his unemployment and my side gigs to make sure our house bills were paid. I also explained to them that I wanted to make sure that my daughter had food to eat. I politely explained to them that I understand the HOA fees were our responsibility, but we were also struggling to make ends meet. So I asked if there was any way we can set up a payment plan instead of paying it all at once. However, the board member that reached back out to me was extremely rude, stating that they did not have any policies regarding the pandemic and late payments, and they were not about to make an exception just for one household who could not pull their weight. I was so upset because right then and there it became clear that it was more about humiliating me and my family rather than punishing me. I had showed my neighbor the email through text and explained to her the situation. I asked her if there was somewhere where I could put in a formal complaint about the board member or HOA in general because the whole situation was really getting to me. However, imagine my surprise when I woke up the next morning and saw screenshots of the email circling around Facebook from my neighbor. Overnight, my neighbor had taken the screenshot I had shown her in our text conversation and posted it on Facebook, with many of our neighbors also seeing it. Everyone was commenting how terrible and unprofessional this was of the HOA and how they were abusing their power in certain situations, like the whole automatic gate thing. And well, this got the attention of the HOA. Not only did that specific board member quit her position, but the HOA president stepped down shortly after without notice. I guess that the local public backlash had gotten too much for them and they could not take the blame anymore. I must say, almost 2 years later we are doing a lot better. My husband working full-time again, and I have a part-time work-from-home job. Our neighbors at the time were kind enough to come together and pay back the fees we owed, which was extremely kind of them. We also have an entire new board of HOA members, and there is a policy in place where you can submit documentation to prove that you are struggling with financials due to the pandemic, and you can be exempted from the fees. Who knew that good HOAs can actually be possible? And yeah, Ripe Stars, that is just one of the big problems I see with HOAs in general. As long as you have a well-paying job and are doing good financially, living in HOAs is probably for the most part not too bad. However, if you get to a bad spot in life, maybe you lose your job or something, or maybe you break up or whatever, then an HOA can really be a harsh environment, because you always have to pay these fees even when you own the home. And as we have seen in other stories, HOAs often enjoy to put liens on your own property when you cannot pay the damn HOA fees. So yeah, you should definitely think twice before buying a house in an HOA neighborhood. Anyway, if you enjoy the stories about crazy HOAs, then I would really appreciate it if you could post some star emojis in the comments if you want to support my channel. Thank you so much in advance. And the next one is titled Coupon Fraud Revenge. Background: I'm a cashier / self-checkout supervisor at a warehouse type store that requires a membership to shop. The membership part is important later. And by the way, Ripe Stars, I'm curious what kind of store OP is talking about. The first thing that popped into my mind when I hear membership and USA is probably Costco. But if you have a better idea, please let me know. Anyway, tonight I was scheduled to work the self-checkout lanes. It is pretty quiet in the store and a woman calls me over for help. We will call her Coupon Lady CL. Coupon Lady: hey, the machine is not accepting my coupons. I look over and she is trying to double and even triple some of her coupons. Our store has a strict 1 per item policy for coupons, although the registers sometimes accept doubles due to a bug. This woman was trying to use 3 and even 4 per item though, basically just trying to put through as many as she could before the register caught on. According to the terms and conditions that people sign when creating an account, only 1 coupon can be used per item, and using any more than that is considered coupon fraud. Me? Actually, our company policy is to only use 1 coupon per item. CL: oh, but they let me do it all the time. In other words, she has never been caught. She is a little annoyed but seems to be understanding. Because it is only me and 1 other person in charge of 7 self-checkout registers, I walk away to help another customer, thinking that is the end of it. A few minutes later I walk by again and notice a few more doubled coupons on the screen added after I left. I also see her try to use some of the coupons that I had specifically set aside and told her could not be used. The register accepts some of them due to the bug that I mentioned earlier, but at this point I have already told her that what she is trying is against the company policy and she is ignoring me. I know she won't listen to me though, so I go over to my supervisor, who has no tolerance for people like this. Me? Hey, there are some people at self-checkout that are trying to double and triple coupons and they already ignored me when I tried to confront them about it. Manager: okay, so next time they need help, when a coupon doesn't go through, the machine prompts for a manager to come over and override if necessary. I will go over instead of you and I will take care of it. Within a minute, the light for manager assistant starts blinking. She goes over and what happens next is probably my favorite story from my 1.5 years at this store. She spends almost 10 minutes going through their transactions and voiding every last duplicate coupon. This includes opening the coupon drawer and pulling out every extra until the woman was left with no more than 1 coupon per item. She probably removed over 20 fraudulent coupons by the time she was done. We might have been a little more lenient if she had not ignored me specifically, or if she had not been trying to cram as many coupons through as possible before the computer caught on, but she clearly knew exactly what she was doing. As soon as she left, we printed a duplicate receipt and handed it to the loss prevention manager. The issue with a membership-based store is that every transaction that is made is linked to an account. Her account has now been flagged for coupon fraud, and the next time she comes in, her membership card will not be usable at the self-checkout registers. It will prompt for a manager to come over and immediately void the transaction. She will have to go to a regular register where it will ask the cashier for an override from loss prevention before allowing them to proceed with the transaction. After all, cashiers can keep a much closer eye on possible fraud. I have to say, guys, I'm not exactly sure what to think of this story, even though it is a pretty funny one. If there is such an error or bug in the system, isn't it the responsibility of the store to fix this issue instead? Please let me know what you think about this story in the comments. And the next one is titled Customer Revenge. This is a normal rude customer story with a twist. Alright, first off, I'm female and just turned 20 when this happened. I got a job at a home improvement store as a cashier and I just finished training on the computers. I was brought out front and put on a register. The first day went great. And by the second day, I was able to work at a register on my very own. Everything was wonderful and I was pretty well trained with cash, credit, checks and gift cards, but a big fat woman came in my line and looked at me in disgust.
I'm in a hurry. I would like to use cash and write a check for the rest.
I told her to give me a second to call another cashier over to help me.
Are you kidding me? If you're out on the floor like this, you should know what you're doing. You're just wasting people's time.
So I just call over the other cashier and explained to her that I've never done this. She showed me and the lady was not there for more than 5 minutes. She kept going on about how slow I was and how I shouldn't be out on the floor wasting people's time, etc. All I said to her was, "Miss, it's my second day," and she just screamed,
"Yeah, I can tell."
Now here is the interesting part. I went for ice cream a few days ago and in front of me was this obese loud woman. We were in line for a long time, maybe 20 minutes, and she is flipping up a storm to her friend about how she hates waiting. So finally she is up to the window and complaining to the poor girl about being too slow and how they don't know how to run the place. I must have let out a loud because she turned around to glare at me and complain. As soon as I saw that woman's face, I saw red. She asked what my problem was and I just said, "All you did was complain about waiting in line and now you are making me wait to complain about some ice cream you don't even need." And she turned red, grabbed her ice cream and walked off. Revenge never felt so good. And the next one is titled A Tale of Sweet Revenge. My mom works in a supermarket on the tills and has done so for about 14 years. She started about 3 months after the shop opened, so she is one of the longest serving staff members there. My mom also gets on really well with everyone, staff and customers, and everyone knows my mom is not one for BS. About 4 years ago, a new manager started in the supermarket. We will call him MD for Massive Dickhead. MD came from an inner city job where I guess you had to fight to make a name for yourself. The supermarket my mom works in is in a small town, so they were unprepared for his shenanigans. On one fateful morning, my mom was one of the 2 checkout staff on duty. My mom was counting tills, getting them ready for when the other staff came in. The other girl was serving customers. While counting one particular till, my mom noticed a small queue forming on the one active till. My mom went over to a different ready till and asked for the next customer. After serving that customer, the girl on the other till tells my mom she can handle the rest and to go back counting the tills. My mom gets back to the till she was counting and MD is standing there. She also noticed she left the cash drawer open. He says, "MD,
can you show me how to count tills, please?"
Mom, of course. So she starts counting this till from scratch. The till is down 40 euros. My mom is a little flustered at this as her tills are only ever off by a couple of cents if ever. My mom said, "Ma'am, I must have miscounted. I will try again." And again, the till is 40 euros down. At this point, my mom is close to tears and she says, "Mom, I don't understand. This till should not be off. MD,
I noticed the cash drawer was open and no one was here. Because of this, someone has obviously taken the money and then ran, unless the culprit is still here very pointedly. Go home. You are suspended until an investigation can be made. Come in tomorrow morning for a meeting."
My mom left the shop in floods of tears. She offered to pay out of her own pocket but was told again to just leave. That night, a friend of my mom, who also works at the shop as a supervisor, called and said, "Friend, OP's mom, I have something to tell you about what happened today, but you need to swear you will need to keep it under your hat. We were all told to not contact you about anything or we would be suspended. MD took the money out of the till. He is doing this to make an example out of you." My mom thanked her for calling, and at least she knew what the score was for the meeting the next day. During the meeting, MD berates my mom relentlessly about stealing and basically makes a show of her. In the end, he told her that it was him who took the money from the till and that it was a lesson. He also told her she was suspended for a week. This was a Friday, and that night my parents went out for a drink to try and take my mom's mind off what happened. While out, a friend of my parents, a lawyer, noticed my mom was not herself and asked what was wrong. My mom first said it was nothing and then said, "Mom, James, can I get your opinion on something from a legal point of view, please?" James, "Of course, what happened?" My mom told him the tale and he said, "James, wow, you know you can nail him and the whole shop to the wall for what he did to you." "Mom, I don't want money. I just want an apology." James told my mom he would call over to the house the following day with his laptop and he would write up a legal letter that she can give in to the shop. The letter was written up the following day, and on Monday morning my mom walked into the shop, asked for the head supervisor and said, "Please make sure the head of chain gets this," and walked back out. That night, the head of the chain phoned my mom and started falling over himself with apologies about what happened. He also said the suspension was lifted. My mom cut him off though and said, "Mom, I'm not interested in suing. All I want is for MD to apologize to me." Head, of course. The following day, my mom received a letter of apology signed from MD and my mom called up the head again. "Mom, maybe I did not make myself clear. I want a face-to-face apology. I will not accept a letter that, frankly, anyone could have written. I want him to apologize to me and I want him to look me in the eye when he does it." The following day, my mom got her apology and a few weeks later MD was no longer at the supermarket. The head never forgot about this and has since made my mom's life at that shop a whole lot more bearable. Woe betide any manager who tries that stuff with her again. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I'm curious, did you ever have any manager like the one in this story that tried to mess with you in a similar way? If you ever experienced this, please feel free to share your own story either on r/Ripe Stories on Reddit or here in the comments of this video. And Ripe Stars, with this we have reached the end of the video. However, if you still cannot get enough of my content, then I would highly suggest to check out my endless binge watch playlist, which will soon show up in the left corner of the screen. In addition, I would really appreciate it if you could not only subscribe to the channel, but also turn on the bell notifications, which you can do by clicking on the little bell icon right next to the subscribe button. This will help my channel tremendously and this will make sure that you don't miss any of my videos. Furthermore, if you want to see additional Ripe content that I don't post on YouTube, then I would suggest to head on over to patreon.com/RipeYouTube for more than 50 exclusive videos that you will not see anywhere else. Thank you so much for your amazing daily support and I hope to see you again tomorrow.